today we're going to have a victory to represent free speech.
Yes, free speech is what the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing was all about. So it doesn't matter whether you like Jimmy Kimmel, agree with Jimmy Kimmel, hate Jimmy Kimmel. He has a right to be out there having his words heard, whether people listen to it or not. It's freedom of speech, and it should not be quashed. And that is what the whole deal was about. And a lot of people didn't understand that it went beyond what was said, whether it was in poor taste or anything like that. What it was all about was about people in power trying to take away freedom of speech. And this is not really a political channel at all, and we're not really talking politics here. What we're talking about is rights, human rights, inalienable rights that every United States citizen should have, which includes freedom of speech and freedom of the press.
We are free speech channel.
Yes, we're a free speech channel, which is why, for example, you can disagree with us all you want in the comments, and we're not going to take you away or ban you or anything for disagreeing with us or something like that. This is definitely a place where you can state your mind and be heard. And the only thing that gets banned in here, hey, Rainbow, dynamic duo.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was saying about that, the only thing that people would get banned for in our chats is if they're being like inappropriate, super offensive. Unfortunately, we get porn bots and such, in comments, and that's no fun. And also sometimes just hate. And this isn't a place for hate. If you disagree with somebody, you can hate what they said. Don't hate the person. Get back to Jimmy Kimmel?
Yes, please.
Get back to Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, we have 6 people in here, so we can get back to Jimmy Kimmel.
I lost my phone.
Jimmy Kimmel got... You don't know what you do to your phone?
I lost my phone.
Well, look around for your phone.
It had my notes on it.
You had it in here. I know you did.
I know I did.
You were ready.
No.
We were ready, but now... We have ADHD. Both of us. Can you tell? Anyway, Jimmy Kimmel is back. The whole ban on Jimmy Kimmel got lifted. He was back on air last night, and by this morning, just hours after he aired on YouTube, because YouTube also airs his shows. So if you're in one of the blacked out zones and you want to see Jimmy Kimmel, you're going to have to go to YouTube, and you can see him there.
Jimmy Kimmel is back, but he is not allowed to be on in certain cities like St. Louis, Missouri, Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon,
Washington, D.C., Nashville, Tennessee. Did I already say that?
No, I didn't say Nashville.
New Orleans?
Yes, New Orleans.
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, of course, Salt Lake.
And you said St. Louis, right?
Yes.
Okay, so those places still are banning him and not allowing people to see his show and not hear his things. And in case people don't know who Jimmy Kimmel is, he's on a late night TV show. He does kind of a combination of talk show and political satire. He is a comedian. Whether he's funny or not, that's up to personal opinions.
Cities you don't want to live.
Yeah.
We were talking about Seattle yesterday in our lives yesterday. We're talking about Seattle and how nothing gets out of there. And we're going to have a Seattle story for you guys later on after this for a classic true crime.
Anyway, as I was going to say, just in a few hours between when he aired at night and, in the morning when I went and checked YouTube to see his show again, Jimmy Kimmel had gotten 12 million views on the YouTube. And so that's incredible, because as he said when he thanked everyone, he thanked everyone that stood up for freedom of speech, whether they liked him or not. And he was especially thankful to the people who don't like him, don't agree with his views, but stood up for his right to have those views.
Major people.
Yeah, like Romney and Ted Cruz, and these people that definitely are on the other side or whatever of whatever Jimmy Kimmel's side is, um, in the whole politics spectrum thing. But like I said, this isn't about politics. This is about
freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. And it was really funny and cool because, well, first there was a whole bunch of standing ovations and stuff, but Jimmy Kimmel's first, his opening line was hilarious because then he goes, as I was saying before I was interrupted, because he was interrupted for a week by being preempted due to this whole hoopla. Anyhow, he did address how people, let's see. Well, I'll just read what he said. He said, our government cannot be allowed to control what we do and do not say on television, and we need to stand together. It was never in my attention to make light of the murder of a young man.
He was very humble.
And then he said, these were the actions of an obviously disturbed individual, murderer, who killed Charlie Kirk. And the murderer is a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't ever. It never is. And then he said, what is important is that we live in a country that allows us to have a show like this. And mentioned about Stephen Colbert being taken off the air for having controversial views and such. And the FCC chairman did, before this all happened, make a direct threat to take away the First Amendment rights, and was talking about banning Jimmy Kimmel as well as several other talk show hosts. And in light of that, Jimmy Kimmel went and pulled out a couple of quotes from back in 2022. First off, our president, Donald J. Trump, had this to say about free speech. If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It is as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple just like dominoes. One by one, they will go down. That's a quote by our president, Donald J. Trump, from 2022. Also from 2022 was the screenshot and then voiceover of a Twitter post by Brendan Carr, the FCC head, and it's, like I said, 6:20 a.m., May 2nd, 2022. And he tweeted out, President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship.
Nice.
And then, later on in the show, there was a little bit of funny where Jimmy Kimmel addressed, the question in the room, what were his concessions to Disney in order to get back the show, and he said, well, they did tell me to read a certain thing, and so he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a paper, and then he read the instructions of how to reactivate your Disney Plus, or Hulu account. And that just, to me, reminded me of how powerful the people are, that by protesting, by standing up, by canceling their memberships, they showed that you cannot take away free speech. And so, I hope everyone is now rewarding Disney for doing the right thing by reactivating their accounts. Anyway, another problem, though, with free speech that we're going to need to keep an eye on, just due to the fact that free speech is important. This isn't really a political thing, but Pete Hegseth has made a statement that journalists with Pentagon press credentials must sign a pledge not to report anything, even unclassified information. Don't report anything that has not been explicitly authorized for release. So essentially, Pete Hegseth is saying that no news can come out that hasn't been created and spoon-fed to the audience.
That's freedom of the press that they want to squash, as well as freedom of press and freedom of speech. If we lost those two things, YouTube wouldn't be a very fun place.
Yeah, and what's next? If they go after TV hosts and stuff, at some point they're going to go and when will a young sane president again? We were just talking to our son about how it just, we're like, why are we having all these guys that are heading into senility be president of the United States? Why don't we have some younger guys that or gals that know their stuff and aren't going like cuckoo?
Jimmy Kimmel was very apologetic to the family.
Yeah, he was very apologetic to the family, and and he also brought to everyone's attention that
very apologetic.
Where'd it go? Oh no, I had it written down, but now I don't know. And what the problem, or what I wanted to bring to the table here, is that I don't know her first name. I was going to use her first name, but Charlie Kirk's widow has so much grace, and she publicly stated that she forgives that wackadoodle guy that killed her husband, the love of her life. She forgives that guy. That doesn't mean she doesn't think he should be punished or anything like that. Just, deep down in her soul, Erica Kirk. Yes, Erica Kirk has all the grace, and she went and forgave that crazy young man that took her husband's life. And then people were going all over the internet and stuff, like making fun of her and trashing her for just doing what every religion in the world say is the most important thing, which is have forgiveness in your heart. And then talking about that POS that assassinated Charlie, he left behind at his home a young man named Lance Twiggs, who was his partner, who may or may not be a furry and appears to be transgender, but I don't know if any of that really comes into play. We just know this is the lover of the wackadoodle, and it appears that Lance did not know what his partner was about to do, and it also appears from
we just learned.
We just learned from
Lance.
watching JLR reports. We just found out that through the Daily Mail, JLR discovered that Lance Twiggs was kicked out of his home for being gay when he was a teenager, and that
His Mormon home,
his Mormon home. It's a strict Mormon home, and homosexuality is not okay in that religion. And so he was kicked out as a teenager, and this woman who knew him because her kids were friends with him, and everything, she took him in and raised him through high school. And she said that he's actually nice and quiet and shy and has not had the family relations through a big chunk of years. So um, the other report that I had heard from a family member who said that she didn't even go to family gatherings because he was going to be there, and she thought that he was violent or opinionated or crazy or something. That might not be true. And this report that I'm giving you right now also might not be true. It's just what has been said and what has been reported. But anyway, reports that Lance Twiggs is nice, quiet, shy, and very private, and would not have wanted to be in the news or anything like that, would not have wanted to be a center of attention like this, and was wanting to transition quietly. And that leads me to just wonder and see what you think on this. Comment below.
Yes, please comment.
Whether Lance Twiggs, who was living in that $320,000 condominium that was owned by his grandfather, whether his grandfather's always had a decent relationship. Well, I would guess not, because he had gone and lived with this other person, unrelated person, and her family. Or does Lance Twiggs now get accepted because he's transitioning, and so by intents and purposes he's not gay, he's a woman?
What? No.
Comment below. Yeah, because it confuses me. And now we'll talk about a little bit of what happens with, we're circling back to freedom of speech. And one example is that in the state of Washington, oftentimes there are stories, including crimes, that don't really get reported, don't end up in the papers, and don't make it out of the state of Washington. And the only way that they do get out there now is through people, regular people with their cell phones, posting to platforms like YouTube or TikTok. And
in 2020, West Seattle.
Yeah, this is a story that we covered. We had, I guess, a few installments way back when this happened, and we called it the Seattle Suitcase Murders. But then we stopped calling it that because the victims were identified, and they aren't just suitcases, they are people. It was Jessica Lewis, age 35, and her boyfriend, Austin Cash Wenner. And it was horrific. You want to tell about it?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. What happened was the two of them were like subletting or whatever in the landlord's home. He lived there too. And there was some sort of dispute, whether it was over rent or over the landlord having inappropriate desires toward Jessica. We don't know, and we never will, because they can't talk, and only the landlord did. But in the aftermath of killing the two of them in the home, the landlord ended up dismembering them and placing their parts in suitcases. And then he went and dumped them in the water. And then by chance, there was a group of TikTokers who were using an app called
This actually happened in Burien.
Randonautica. And this actually happened in Burien, Washington, but basically it's location in the end. Seattle being a better known place, but tomato tomato. Anyway, these TikTokers using Randonautica, I believe it was,
Mm-hmm.
an app that gives you GPS coordinates, and then you go there and you show what you find when you get there. Anyway, they got there and they saw the suitcase, and so right there live on TikTok, they go up and they open the suitcase and discover remains. And that's the only way that the news got out of Washington that, this horrible crime had happened. Anyway, the landlord has been put away.
He got 46 years in prison for that.
46 years.
So he won't be out.
Yeah, he won't be out. And
basically, that was our big surprise for the night.
And want to talk about anything else?
You guys hit the comment section. Hit that like button. Thank you for showing up, everybody. Anything you guys want to talk about in my comments? We're not scrolling here. Yeah. Anyways. Anything else?
Oh, I was just going to try something, and you guys can let me know if I'm onto something or not. I am thinking about telling the story of the Suzanne and Barry Morphew case in a video, just like start to finish, but in a story form, and maybe starting something like on Mother's Day in 2020, Barry Lee decided to go to work instead of staying home and giving his wife breakfast in bed.
He should have done that.
He left before dawn, and he may have kissed her goodbye. He doesn't remember whether he kissed her or whether she was just a lump snoring in the bed. He doesn't know whether she was clothed or naked in the bed. But he left that morning with the telematics in his truck disconnected, and he went off grid and headed to work for a job that was not on the books yet, on a day that the work would not have been approved anyway, even if the job had been on the books. And he turned his telematics back on when he was a little over halfway to Broomfield, where the job was. And then he headed over to a bus depot and went and emptied some trash out of his truck before heading over to the hotel where he had reserved a room, but the room wouldn't be ready because it was still like before 8 o'clock in the morning.
It was too early.
And he went and hung out behind the hotel, saying that he was waiting to see if somebody would leave the door open so he could sneak in and get a free buffet. And he also threw away some trash. Then he went and checked in at the desk to find out when the room would be ready. And when they made the room ready for him, he went to the room carrying several bags, including, and also was carrying a pair of work boots. He went in the room in one outfit and later came out of the room wearing a different outfit but carrying packages. And then he went to another dumpster, and then he drove over to a McDonald's where he thought about getting food but didn't get food, but decided to go digging deep into the trash cans and depositing garbage. And then he went and drove to another dumpster where he emptied his truck some more. And at some point he drove over to where the job site was, but he didn't actually visit the job site itself. He visited, parked on a roadway next to a manhole cover that led to a culvert that drains out into a pond that is on private land behind barbed wire. And then he went over to the job. He spent like a total of 15 minutes at the job, popped a couple of stone caps off of a wall. Then he went back to the room, and he'd gone back and forth to the room a couple times. He took a few showers, had a few changes of clothes, all caught on video. And then he fielded phone calls, and his daughters called and said, "Hey, Dad, we tried to tell Mom Happy Mother's Day, but she didn't answer." And he goes, "Oh, well, I tried to reach her too, and I wasn't able to reach her. Why didn't you get a hold of the neighbors and ask them to head over to the house, see how Mom's doing?" And so the neighbors went over to check, and Mom wasn't there, but the mom's vehicle was. And the neighbors went back home, called the girls back, and gave them the information. Then the girls called their dad back, gave him the information that the neighbors gave him, and then he told the girls, "Well, your mom went for an early morning bike ride. Tell the neighbors that your mom went for an early morning bike ride and see whether her bicycle is still there."
He was telling them what to say.
Yeah, he was telling them what to say. And then the girls called the neighbors and told them, "Mom went for an early morning bike ride. Can you go check and see if her bike is at the house?" So the neighbors went back over to the house again and checked, and there was no bicycle there. So then they went back home again, called the girls back again, told the girls, "Okay, we went over there and there's no bicycle there and your mom's not there and the house is unlocked." And then the girls called their dad and told him all of this information from the neighbors. And then the dad says, "Okay, well, go call the neighbors and tell them to call the police, report your mom missing." And so the girls called the neighbors called the police, etc. Meanwhile, Barry Lee claimed that he was spending this whole time at the job site. Even at one point, he did talk to the neighbors on the phone and told them he was talking to them from the job site. But telematics and cell phone records show that he was talking to them from the hotel room. And during all of this, Barry Lee also had called the work crew because he was supposed to have picked one of them up in the evening and brought them to the hotel. And he called them and said, "I went here on my own. You're going to have to come up here on your own, and you need to hire another guy to work on this." And so she did, and she hired the other guy, and she picked him up, and they went up. And by the time they got to Broomfield, Barry had left the room, but he had taken hand tools like shovels and rakes and hose out of his truck, and he had brought them in and deposited them in the lobby of the hotel. And so the workers thought, well, that's a little bit odd, because they knew what the job was and they knew that it wasn't going to need those tools. But they're like, "Okay, well, Barry Lee being Barry Lee."
Yes, Karen.
And then they went up to the room that was reserved, and they opened that room, and it smelled very much like what one of them described as bleach, but the other, who is allergic to bleach, said, "No, it's not bleach, it's pool chemicals." And
No. Okay, keep going.
and then that was weird. We went off for a minute, and now we're back. Hopefully, you guys can see me. And so, aw, they say you're cute, and they want to get your number.
Oh, okay. I'll watch with this lady.
Anyway, went to the room. It smelled a lot like the pool chemicals. It was overwhelming. It was more than what it ordinarily would be in that room. There always would have been some pool chemical smell because this room was above the pool. They noticed a bunch of wet towels all over the floor because Barry had taken multiple showers and toweled off and left all these towels all over the place. The bed was all rumpled because apparently at some point Barry was laying in the bed. There were papers in the trash can, including insurance papers and such,
and bills,
and they just thought that was pretty odd and made sure that they kept track of all of this because Jeff,
trolls.
who was the guy that went to the room, Jeff's had been around, had seen some things and all that, so he right away realized that this was some sort of setup, and he didn't want to be involved in anything.
Jeff doesn't want no part of that.
So he made quick note of whatever all had been going on there. Meanwhile, back in Salida, Maysville, where the police had been informed that Suzanne was missing, the police went driving out to check out the situation. We're calling out, Suzanne, are you there? And then they see a bike on the side of a hill. A very strange angle, very strange location for the bike to be. And they go and grab the bike, and they get their hands on the bike and stuff, because at this point they still haven't really grasped the oddness of this situation, so they're not being all that professional, kind of like Keystone Cops or whatever. But they get the bike, and then they call Barry, get a description of the bike from him, and be like, okay, yeah, this looks like it's your wife's bike. And then Barry says that he's going to come back from his job that he's been working, that he's up in Denver. Denver and Broomfield, I guess, potato. So anyway.
Hey, you're shaking the camera.
Yeah, oops. So anyway, everybody's still trying to figure out what happened and where Suzanne is. It's gotten dark, and Barry arrives on site, parks his truck, jumps out, and in a very shaky, whiny voice cries out, "Where is it? Where's the bike?"
Maybe he should have said, "Where's my wife?"
Yeah, maybe he should have said, "Where's my wife? Where is she? Where's my wife? Have you found her yet?" But no. Yeah.
Okay.
No one had found his wife. They did show him where the bike was. And before he went over to the bike, he asked Lion, and the cop that he was talking to immediately answered, "Yeah, it was just Lion over there." And then Barry said, "No, Lion, not Lion." And the guy's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, this is weird." And then Barry and his buddy George, who had given him this giant hug when he had arrived, they went over and they were all over the bike, touching the bike, looking at the bike, poking at the bike, and were told not to touch the bike. Then the cops and Barry walked up to the house where Suzanne was not there, and Barry did not say, "Hey, Suzanne," or anything to see if she was there. And while his attorneys say he was told by the cops not to look around, not to do anything other than what they were asking him to do, I know that I would not be able to hold myself back if I was in a situation where somebody in my household, well, in this case, my RV hold, had gone missing. And so if I went in there, I'd be like, "Are you here?" Just in case they maybe were asleep and whatever. But I would be looking to see if anything looked wrong to me, if anything looked out of place. But Barry was just matter of fact, and worked with them on that, and they were so unprofessional that they asked Barry for bags to put the evidence in. So Barry went into the kitchen and grabbed some of his own bags for them to use as evidence bags. And then the next morning, Barry was busy on the phone. He called his work crew and told them a mountain lion had got his wife while she was on a bike ride. And he called someone from his church back in Indiana and told them that a mountain lion had gotten his wife while she was out on a bike ride, even though there was no sign whatsoever that that's what could have happened.
That would be a grand story if mountain lion had come.
Yeah. And so far that's what I got. Although I think I would then segue right into how, like 3 days after she was reported missing, Barry contacted her dad and talked about her in past tense and told her dad that he had loved his daughter, and that by the end of the week, Barry had gone and gotten guardianship or power of attorney over his missing wife so that he could continue with business details like selling property that was in both their names. And then right after that, as soon as her vehicle was released by police, because it had been at home and stuff and didn't seem to be a part of crime, but it did get all totally investigated. But as soon as the car was released back to him, he took her car to Indiana and sold it. And this was also within the first month or so that she was missing. And that would be like one video, and I think maybe I would do, or maybe that would be pieces of video. What do you guys think? Should I make a series of videos in story format like that, or would that not really work?
It's a good story, isn't it? It's real. It's dark.
And it seems surreal or unreal, but it really happened.
Isn't that our second story on the channel?
Yeah.
The second
when
thing we did.
When we first started this channel, we well, not when we first started this channel, but when we first started talking about true crime stuff on this channel, because this channel always was Another Day in the Car and was car and travel related. It was the case of Gannon Stauch, a 11-year-old boy who had been reported missing. It went out on the neighborhood app that we had too, and we live not too far, so we went looking for him also, since we also had a child that just a couple months age difference from Gannon. And our child led us around to different places where kids his age liked to hang out, and we were out there looking for Gannon, and we were involved in the case already that way, looking at locations as they got reported on the news.
We went all over the area looking for that
and
guy.
Also at that time I was spending more time on the internet than I am now. I'm like going internet cold turkey practically, but went in there and found this. Well, I hadn't just found it because I followed a couple other cases on it.
Yeah, Karen, we don't need to hide them from the channel for that. Just leave them be.
Yeah, they're just weirdos. There was a what was I gonna say?
I don't know, but let's give a
Web
shout out to
sleuths.
my...
That's what it was. There was there was a like posting board where people were writing about it, and the case was on that posting board. And then I saw on the posting board that people in the Web Sleuths group were saying, I wish I could see that place. I wish I could have a closer look at that place. And so I said to my honey babe here, let's just take a drive over there and do some video to let these other people see what it looks like. I mean, it gives something to do because it was during lockdown. And so we went, and that was our first true crime that we covered on this channel. We followed it all the way through to the end. At one point, before I realized that she was psychopathic, because she's crazy, not insane, and she is doing her time now. But at some point along there, I actually ended up having a friendship of sorts with Letitia Stauch, who turned out to be the murderer of this child.
Oh my God.
And, that was creepy to me. And she is guilty as hell, and I did not stay friends with her. Anyway, then after that case, we got the Morphew case because we had heard about the missing lady, and this was like a day or so after she supposedly went missing, and we went right out there to look for her and try to rescue her, thinking that it was an altitude sickness situation or something, and then found out where the bike had been and figured out that that wasn't right. And so we were very curious. We're nosy people, and we love being outdoors, and we love travel, and so we just stuck to that case also.
Can we get some
And-
likes in here? I don't see 13 likes on this video.
And
It's not enough.
let's
Goal of
see.
100, please.
And-
Jimmy who?
Jimmy Kimmel was at the beginning of the video. We mentioned Jimmy Kimmel because he's a TV guy that
TV
does
guy.
political
I know who
satire or
Jimmy
whatever.
Kimmel is. I'm sure of it.
And for freedom of speech reasons is why we were talking about that, because we're not a political channel, so I don't go into the politics of stuff. But if stuff edges onto, if political stuff intersects with a crime, we probably will touch on it.
Freedom
And
of press.
freedom of the press, freedom of speech
and if
is
that's
a big
messed with,
thing.
we don't stand for that at all. Right to bear.
Yeah, we're all about that kind of thing, but we're not.
God, I think they see the comments before we do, because I see it
Yeah, I saw what
I
one
see
that
they
one
get
was,
hidden
and it
before I ever get a chance.
and like and for us, one thing we don't really discuss is politics, and another thing we don't really discuss is religion. I have studied world religions and see that they all have like similar truths about how, if you follow not the religion itself but the religious texts, they all want everyone to treat each other right, in a loving and civil manner, and they all have the same basic tenets about how people should act. And Pumbaa,
Pumbaa the pig. Love that guy.
yeah, like Pumbaa farts. Yeah, there's that.
This is a very Morphew channel, though, if you guys have questions.
Yeah. Right now,
Suzanne.
our main focus right now, our main case is obviously the Barry Morphew case.
We're
He has
also-
been arrested for the second time for the murder of his wife Suzanne. Last time, her remains had not been found
many
yet.
trolls on this channel.
Yeah.
We're also talking about D4VD, David,
Yeah,
this monster.
and that's another thing that really gets us, is someone that preys on children, and whether he had anything to do with the death or the disrespectful manner of
Untimely demise
What-
is what I've been
okay
using lately.
whether he had anything to do with the untimely demise of the little girl Celeste Rivas Hernandez or not, he did have very inappropriate relationship with her being like 5 years or more younger than him, and he had been grooming her. They had become online friends when she was only 10 or 11 years old. He would have been around 16. That's gross. And
That's too young, dude. You can't do that.
and so, also
Right, Kurt?
we're people that want to like let people know, because some people don't even realize. They think, oh, what a cute safe game, for example, like Roblox, or way back when the Penguins were on there, the Penguin game, and just all these different games where they're cute and kids are playing them, and parents might think, oh, okay, this is cute, this is safe, and then it turns out that there are adults in there pretending to be other kids, and they are befriending your kids and trying to lead them off onto other platforms and tried to build relationships with them. And so people need to beware.
It's so bright.
Um,
So bright, huh, guys? Look how bright that light is. Mm-hmm.
and,
So they found the poor little 14-year-old girl.
yeah, in the frunk, which is the front trunk of a Tesla that belonged to singer David. But as many people have pointed out, it's possible that David let lots of different people drive his car. You know, him being the rising musical superstar that he was, he probably had access to other vehicles than that, and maybe it was no big deal to him. Just, hey, anybody want to use my car, you can, or whatever.
He's letting somebody drive it. It's getting all wrecked.
Yeah,
Big dents in it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it was moving around even when it seemed that that maybe the car moved even when David wasn't there. But it appears that the car started not being parked at the house, not in the not in the garage or anything. The driveways are a little bitty thing, so I'm not sure what a neighbor had reported that it stopped being parked in the driveway. So I reported that.
Little tiny driveway. I don't even think that.
But I don't think it would park in the driveway. But anyway, people in the neighborhood noticed that this car, and it stood out to them because it's a Tesla, it's got a dent, and it is from Texas. It has Texas plates.
That's what's going to give it away.
So they noticed it. So they noticed this car with Texas plates parked in front of their house, and then it would move, every like 72 hours or so, it would move to a different location in the neighborhood. And eventually it stayed put at a location, and it stayed there long enough that it got reported, and then it got towed.
While he was on tour in some place.
Yeah, while David was on tour.
Wisconsin, possibly. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I'm not sure which location he was at the time, but he wasn't in the state of California when this body was found in the front of the Tesla registered to him or owned by him. But anyway, it got towed, and part of the reason why the people were so anxious to call the tow yard and have them take it away was it was starting to get a funky smell, and there were flies, and they were thinking maybe, just maybe, there was like maybe a dead squirrel or something, or maybe there had been a cat or something. They just thought that something small.
Chipmunk.
Or a chipmunk.
I'm just being funny.
Maybe they thought Barry got a hold of it. But anyway, so they thought there was, or mice, who knows? They thought something small, and it was an unpleasant scent. So it was towed and went, and the impound yard took it and parked it at the top floor of their high-rise car lot. So it's up there, and the funk got worse. They knew now that whatever was deceased was not small, and so they called the police.
Do you think that she weighed 120 pounds according to her missing person flyer? They recovered the body. Well, they did. Excuse me. They recovered
71 pounds.
Yeah, they recovered her, and she was 71 pounds. So do you think that some of her could have fallen onto the ground and leaked out, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is whether fluids leaked out, or whether there's pieces of her missing,
yet.
Or a fluid. And no, he hasn't been arrested yet, but it appears that there's a lot going on in the case, and there's a lot of different charges that he could end up with if he is charged. Well, I mean, obviously he should be charged for the improper relationship with the child, and to see just how serious of a charges you would get on it depend on the evidence that they have obtained. They are going over the video evidence of the video cameras at the home, at all the entrances. The Tesla has cameras. The neighborhood has cameras. Plus, people affiliated with David, D4VD, also have camera cell phones and stuff and had been posting online. So there is an online presence of David and Celeste being together. And so when police went and served a warrant, because they got enough evidence from the Tesla to be able to get a warrant to search the home that was rented by David, which was across the street from where the Tesla was recovered. And they were able to search that home. They spent 12 hours there looking for blood evidence and other things, but also removing laptops, cell phones, and tablets, other electronic devices. And so they are going to be building not just the timeline, but a cyber footprint, all the photographs and all the posts and stuff linking David and Celeste.
He could be falsely accused, but why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't he be concerned where his little girlfriend was?
Or if he did get in a fight with her and did think that she broke up with him or something.
She had gone home in the past.
Because she ran away 3 times to be with him. One time she went home on her own. One time police picked her up and took her home, and then this last time she ended up in the trunk of the Tesla.
Oh, if he's been framed, that's gonna make for some good story. That's gonna be a twist right there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting whether he's being framed or not. So like like I said, there's a couple different crimes in here because it's pretty obvious that he is guilty of being a PDF file, and that they are going to link that through the electronics. And it turns out that in the state of California, if there is a connection between someone who is an adult and someone who is age 13 or under on the internet, it's a cybercrime. And if it then goes into any sort of sexting or coercing the child to undress or perform acts, even if the people never meet in person, that online activity counts as a full-on child, the full deal and the full jacket of being a PDF file. So he could be looking at that, and it's possible that there was maybe an overdose when it comes to Celeste, because some of the songs that D4VD has written that appear to be about his relationship with this child do mention that the child and he get high together. And it seems that
that's written in the lyrics of that song.
Yeah, the lyrics of the song Ghost. And do I have the lyrics with me this time? Or because I read them last video, and I might not have them with me, but he talks.
I will pull them up.
But it appears to be the description of an OD in the lyrics of the song Ghost. And it appears, and John Toomey, at this point we have jumped over to be talking about the case where there's an up-and-coming alt R&B or indie musician named D4VD. It's pronounced David. And he had just begun a world tour when police were alerted to check a Tesla that was in impound and found the remains of a little girl. She, because of the state of decomposition, she must have lost her life when she was 14, but she had chronologically had her 15th birthday the day before her remains were found.
Yes, by D4VD. David.
Yeah, and he goes, God knows it's true. I love you the most, but we both know what I have to do. Eyes looking right through me, like a deceased person's eyes stare. Eyes looking right through me. Why? Why can't I hear your heartbeat? And then it goes, God knows it's true. I love you the most, and we both know what I have to do. And then it goes on to, he might have you, but I've got your ghost.
The weight discrepancy. I thought he had more. Just her ghost.
Yeah, yeah.
That's bothering me. 50
yeah,
pounds.
the discrepancy of the 50 pounds is concerning. And, I've been reading my decomposition book because I have one. Yeah, I'm a weirdo. I have one of those that talks about the different stages of decomposition and the different conditions of decomposition, and I have not yet found a case where 50, 51 pounds of fluids or have disappeared.
She has been released from medical examiner.
Yeah, yesterday the medical examiner released her remains so that Celeste can be put to rest by her family. And there is no report yet regarding cause of death or anything. That's deferred. It's going to take a few weeks at least for them to run all the tests and make the determination of cause of death and nature of the death. And so it's going to be that long before we know whether this is a homicide or an accidental death that never got reported, in which case charges would probably be something along the lines of not reporting a death and abuse of a corpse because of it being put in the trunk of a car and left on the streets. That's pretty bad abuse of a corpse, if you ask me. But the failure to report is a serious thing. And now jumping back to Charlie Kirk's assassination and the boyfriend of the shooter, and
yes, he was gay.
that the boyfriend was told shortly after Charlie Kirk was killed. He was told by his boyfriend that his boyfriend had taken Charlie Kirk's life. But this boyfriend, this Lance Twiggs, did not call the police, did not report his boyfriend. And it was 2 days later, after his boyfriend was arrested, and the police knew where the boyfriend lived, shared a home with Lance Twiggs. That's when Lance Twiggs began speaking to law enforcement. And yeah, discussing the decomposition, I was having trouble with the discrepancy of Celeste was reported as 5'3" and 120 pounds, but the remains of Celeste are 5'2" and 71 pounds. I think the inch in height could be explained by loss of the body fluid and atrophy. Could have shrunk her, withered, just like the title of David's album and tour, Withered. Her remains could have withered enough to lose an inch in height, but I'm not sure how they possibly how would they possibly lose 51 pounds.
No,
I'm trying to find.
You'd be sorry
if someone else
green screen or something.
Okay.
No other comments. See?
No, I was looking because someone else went. Oh, Karen Lee looked into the decomposition. Karen Lee, were you able to find any case where 51 pounds would have been lost through decomposition at this point? anyway, yeah, I'm having difficulty with that. Reading some decomp books and just trying to
Hello,
make sense of
Australia.
that. And and until of course the medical examiner comes forth with the final report, and that would let us know actually if anything odd went on. And yeah, we don't do politics. Sometimes politics get kind of mixed in a little bit if there's a crime that has a political component to it or political motivation, or if the person is a political figure.
And
But we're more about reporting, talking about crime and stuff like that, and not so much about politics themselves.
bam, Karen Lee got him. Oh, don't forget to add in the little tidbit about what they were expecting. David, Celeste.
Oh yeah, and the little tidbit is that on Discord, the two were active on Discord, not just in print, but doing videos on Discord, video conversations, interviews with fans and stuff. And it appeared to be, um, it appears that Celeste may have been expecting, because David calls her wifey and said that they were expecting. And I don't know at this stage of decomp whether they would be able to determine whether she had been expecting or not. It would, I mean, not if she was in the very early stages. Later on in pregnancy, they would be able to determine, because there would be changes to like her pelvis and stuff. But early pregnancy, I'm not sure whether they would have enough tissue or anything, whether they could be able to see whether her hormone levels, I don't know if she was too decomposed to check hormone levels.
Should be hormones in there, huh? In the cells.
Yeah,
You think?
depending on the how much,
And how long she'd been.
how long she'd been deceased and how long she'd been in the trunk. Was she deceased before?
It's hot in Hollywood.
Was she deceased before she ended up in the
She
trunk?
was just
At
cooking
what
in
point?
there.
At what point did she end up in the trunk? Was she placed in the trunk shortly after she was deceased, or has she been deceased a lot longer than that? Is another question.
Yes. There are
Because,
two Celeste.
and yes, there are two Celestes in David's life. One is an adult Celeste, who is the actress that appears in his music videos, and then there is the little one. And yeah, we are talking about the little one, the one who never made it to her 15th birthday, but chronologically turned 15 the day before her remains were discovered in the Tesla, but the state of decomposition shows that she never made it to her 15th birthday.
Sad stuff tonight.
And yeah, we're very curious as to whether any pregnancy hormone would exist at this point in decomposition. I have not researched that yet. That's a very, very sad topic.
Hi, Journey.
But I am curious as to whether they'd be able to figure that one out. And another thing that is a big question is, when was the last time Celeste was actually seen alive? Her friends have all come forward stating that they had daily video chats with her up until mid-August 2024, and that they had no contact with her since 2024. So, or no, 2025, mid-August? No, 2024. The last time they heard from her was 2024. But we know she was alive after 2024. Wait. Yeah, the February. I was thinking this February. I was thinking February 2025 as being when David and his manager rented that place. But then I remember it was earlier. It was when it was the first time that Celeste had run away from home to be with David, was Valentine's Day and I think it was Valentine's Day. Yeah, it was Valentine's Day 2024, and February 2024 is when um, the home was rented by the manager for David. And yeah. Oh, what's floating in view of the camera? Sorry about that. That's actually a dream catcher, and actually we're in our RV right now, and
There it is.
we have a few dream catchers hanging up in here.
It's cute, huh?
Yeah, we have a few of these. We also have like a bunch of dangly crystals hanging from the ceiling, and some cool novelty lights shaped like stars and stuff to sparkle. We can make the whole place like really
You're shaking
sparkly.
the camera, dear
Yeah,
one.
sorry about shaking that camera. And yeah, we make this space. We make the most of our space, and make sure that we have all the things, the little things that make us happy or mean something to us here in the RV, so that it's more, it's home now. So we have all these things that we like, uh, just making it more homey. And
Native
one of
American
these days,
beliefs it catches
yeah,
evil dreams.
catches the evil dreams, doesn't let them through, so that you only have the good ones. And one of these days we'll start doing videos where maybe we'll share more of the interior of the RV, but definitely we're going to show you the exterior views of the different places where we go and stay. And because nature is so beautiful.
It'll be
And
snowing soon up here in the
yeah,
Rockies.
and we'll just share campfires and stuff like that too, while we talk to you about all this stuff. And we have pets too, and they're loving the RV life. At first, we had to make sure that we kept um, the harnesses and leashes on them so that they wouldn't try to wander out. But now they're happy with their boundaries and stuff, and they're doing great with it. Um, and if you were to decide that you wanted to do RVing with your pets, I would say the first thing to do would be start taking little road trips with them, driving around, getting them to enjoy the idea of being with you outside of the house, and not like going for a regular walk or anything, but actually doing a little trip. We've taken our critters for picnics and stuff. We've taken them swimming in the Arkansas River. Um,
That was during a true crime adventure. We stopped by the river on
yeah,
our way back from Suzanne's.
yep, and
RV travel, you know us, it's just going to be twisted up with true crime.
yeah, we'll probably travel to places where stuff happened, and so we can. I mean, because we're curious and we always like to go and look at things, and whether it's a current one or if it's a historical famous one, we've always liked to go check out
Maybe we
and
should go
actually
look
be
at
there.
Jane Field or Plainfield, Wisconsin, maybe?
Oh, Ed.
Ed
And
Gein.
Gein,
Yeah.
because we learned more about him when we went to we're metalheads, and we also like hard rock and stuff, and we went to an impromptu Jackal concert. They play Sturgis usually, but they played this cornfield in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. We heard about it on a radio station when we were out driving, so we went, why not? And so we just headed out there. It was only like 20 or 30 miles away from our regular path, but it was kind of scary and stuff. And then because of the vibe of the place, we hadn't really realized what we were driving through to get to this cornfield. But there was just this sense, this vibe.
Tiny little farm roads. When you couldn't see anything but like 12-foot tall corn, and you couldn't see anything, and an occasional silo would pop up, and You know, again, he'd been wearing people's skin over there historically.
Yeah, but
So,
we didn't know that before the concert. But because of the weird vibe, we decided to start googling it and researching, going to the library, getting books and stuff, and going, oh wow, that's crazy. And yeah, we also like to travel to where things happen, and we do like to pay our respects to the people who have lost their lives, and we burn some sage and we lay down some tobacco, and
Children of the Corn. We just watched that one.
yeah, one
The
of
new
them.
one, yeah.
Yeah. Children of the Corn is creepy. So, I don't see cornfields the same way I used to after I started, because I like watching scary movies too. And, as a kid, I loved playing in cornfields and running around in the cornfields and like playing tag in there. And, and then as an adult, after watching scary movies, I'm like, what was I thinking? Just imagine there could have been some crazy, guy with a scythe or something chasing me through the corn.
Young Blood. About to look that up. What is this? Young Blood.
I've heard of it, but it's music, baby.
I know it's probably music. It's not played on my Sirius radio stations.
I think it might be.
You think?
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
And he was supposed to be on Kimmel. Young, but he's singing with Aerosmith now.
Oh, really?
Huh. That's cool.
He's an English singer, songwriter, and actor.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Mixes punk, rock, pop, hip hop.
My kind of stuff. Ozzy Osbourne mentored him.
Oh, is that the guy? From the Ozzy, one of his last videos. Okay.
This guy did a dedicate. Right after Ozzy passed, that guy, Young Blood, he did a song dedicated to Ozzy. It was a cover, and yeah, he wears the cross Ozzy Osbourne gave him, and yeah, now I know who he is. See, I'm not real good with names of people, but once I see them or then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's cool.
Did we ever see Svengoolie? I don't think we did see that.
Don't know that. Don't know that one.
But yeah, we love going to concerts and stuff too, and we've been to a wide variety of concerts too, because we love the vibe. So sometimes we even venture out of our genres just to go to a concert and feel the vibe and be there. How long have we been together? Basically forever. We grew up together. And
okay, I think I'm done looking at this guy.
He's off looking at all these different bands and stuff now. But yeah, like one thing that might surprise you is that we went to see Hollywood Undead a few times.
Hollywood Undead.
And that's a good show. And another, oh my God, such a good show. If you guys ever get a chance to go see Avatar in concert, oh my God, go. Definitely go.
We still have 89 people. What do you want to talk about? We don't have anything else left, do we? More berry stuff? Maybe dumpster panda berry, maybe? Tune in here if you have any questions about Barry Morphew, Suzanne Morphew. We've been covering it since day one, so we have a lot of information about that guy. And poor Suzanne. Do you think he's gonna show up for all of his court dates this time, guys? Or do you think, since the development of all the new evidence, do you think he'll jump?
I think he's not going to jump. I think he's going to do this thing because I looked at the paperwork and everything for the bail bonds. I think he will go. Um, that he will go to them, but
Not yet.
not
We're
so
going to
sure
find
what's going to
him.
happen during the thing. And yes, all of the above to the person that's asking what type of music we like.
Well,
All of the above. I'm more of the other stuff. He's more settled on just metal and old school hard rock or
do I
whatever.
look like a metalhead? I don't know.
But
I?
but I'm all of the above, including metal, and I am guessing that Barry is with his daughters. And yeah, we are super into true crime, Sean Gregory, um, and so like what we talk about is true crime, but we also talk about current events and stuff. And
Well, current events is new to the channel. It used to be just a strictly true crime channel, um, like the Butcher of Vancouver. We didn't quite get that up yet, but we're
We're working
working
on it,
All right,
yeah.
now you finished my sentence. You're not supposed to do that. He took 49 women victims.
and he was upset that he didn't make it to 50, and he fed them to his pigs. Ugh.
Yes, just like Susan Monica fed victims to her pigs too. A transgender woman.
Yeah, but she only killed like 2 or something.
Was it 2? I thought it was like 7 she killed those. She
No.
goes, a pig's gotta eat all the time.
Pigs gotta eat.
Yeah, so she went,
Pigs gotta eat.
pigs gotta eat. We got that up on the channel as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're into true crime a lot.
And so yeah, we're into true crime, and we like to go to the locations too. And we didn't used to record it for the channel or anything, but now we will when we go on these different adventures. And yeah, true crime, current events, music, and we'll even share our campfires and stuff when
we did a dedication to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, it was crazy because I had been in the hospital, so we hadn't been able to travel or go to any concerts. And then he was letting me know that we had missed the last concert of Ozzy, and then the next day Ozzy passed on, and so it was just like really surreal that we had just filmed a video just babbling in the car talking about Ozzy, with Ozzy playing in the background, and then we found out the next day that he was gone.
So sad.
And whereabouts are you? Well, whereabouts in Colorado right now.
Around Denver somewhere. Come and find us.
Yeah. But you'll definitely know where we are when Barry Morphew goes to trial, because we're
We'll
going to be in the
there.
vicinity, and we've heard that there's some other people that might be coming camping out during that as well, and so
Oh,
maybe
yes.
we'll have like group
We've had a
campfires
whole
and stuff
bunch of people want
to
show up
discuss.
next summertime.
Yeah, so then his trial seems to be slated for next summer, and so it'll be like a whole thing. And I don't know how, from knowing what I know about all
Alrighty,
the evidence
Rainbow.
against Barry.
You're welcome. You've been
I
such a
don't
help.
know how the daughters could still support him so much, but then when you go into the psychological aspect of it, and you realize first off that Barry is a very slick guy. He's like a lot of people that control others, in that he can be charming, and he can be insidious. He can use just like little things to get in there and then twist you around. And so ever since they were infants, he has been making them value him more than their mother. They've been wanting to protect him and coddle him, and his mother gave them the same thing about their dad. she was always putting Barry on a pedestal also. He was not doing the same for her. He would have a fight with Suzanne in front of the kids. He would go to the kids and tell the kids um, all about the argument. And, oh, look how crazy your mom's being or whatever. And Suzanne would not say one word against Barry, because Suzanne, amongst other things, besides being a really sweet lady and all that, she had been a school teacher, and she understood the psychology of children, and she knew that it would be very harmful to them if she were to uh, react in like, you know, tit for tat or whatever. So she never said a word against Barry and let the kids just see the one-sided arguments. And and then, because these girls were so loved and coddled by their parents, when their mom was gone and their dad was the only one there, he was able to get right in there into their little brains and tell them that their mom had left them. And he kept telling them that their mom had left them, that he didn't do anything to her, that she wasn't dead, that she just gone girled. So the girls thought that.
I thought she gone girled there at first.
And I'm sure that the girls thought all the way up until their mother's remains were found, I'm sure they thought that their mom just was off doing her own thing. And then, you know, when her remains were found, that's 3 years later from the first arrest. And so Barry had had 3 years of convincing them that he had nothing to do with their mother's disappearance, and he had time to spin his yarns and have all kinds of alternative stories, however unlikely, that they would believe, because this is their dad. And throughout their life, he had isolated them from anybody else. They had no contact with their relatives on Suzanne's side, and the relatives on Barry's side that they did have contact with are also 100% supporters of Barry. So, you know, they get this whole support system, being very pro their dad and kind of anti their mom, giving them the idea that their mom basically asked for this, that their mom somehow orchestrated her own demise, rather than that their dad took their mom's life. And then with the whole Bam thing, Bam being found in the bones, the Bam being Bam that was registered to Barry, but Barry telling them there's a whole bunch of different reasons that the Bam could be in there. And so they're still like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
people are after dad, something bad's happening, you know, and it's not dad's fault. And so that's why they are still standing by him.
He is the only parent they have now. So,
Yeah.
in their defense.
So that's what's happening with that. But that being said, you know, flip side of the coin, I am not so sure what to think of the oldest one. See, the little one was still living at home, was still in high school, was 16 years old when her mother went missing, but was actually unalived. And she was living at home, and she was still having daily contact with both parents, or, you know, with her dad whenever her dad happened to be at the house, because he was actually spending a lot of time away from the house. He had a lot of activities. But the older one had already been out of the home for a while. She was away at college and did not even live in the same town, and did not come home every weekend or anything like that either. And the older one actually was co-signing checks for dad out of one account and putting them in another and things like that that the mom found alarming because the mom did the books, and the mom actually made note of it and let
Wow.
Jeff Libler know
My
about
lights
it.
came on.
And Jeff Libler being an old high school friend that then she had met back up with while she was going through chemotherapy this time, and then they sparked into some sort of relationship, but it doesn't appear that Suzanne was going to run away with him either. He's married, and Suzanne even told him, and it was recorded on a spy pen, that she wasn't leaving Barry for him, that she was leaving Barry for herself, and that she needed to be out on her own for the first time in her life. And yeah, it's going to be devastating to the Morphew girls when they realize what their dad did. And
That's funny.
That's funny. I can see why it got blocked, but
We are incestual, apparently.
and a funny thing is that a lot of people thought that we were brother and sister when we were younger.
Do you think? I don't think we look anything alike. Look at what I look like, and you look like that. Do we don't look nothing alike? We could be incestual. If that would get us more views.
Okay, but actually, I'm gonna drop a bombshell that we.
Nope. You can't do that.
We didn't know.
Don't.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope. No, I'll turn off the stream if you tease these guys like that. Well, we're talking about Barry and the daughters. Let's jump back on that.
Our kids
Don't
look like us so much that whenever anybody sees them, they'll say that, "Oh, you look just like your mom," and then they see the dad, and they go, "Oh, never mind, you look just like your dad."
So my daughter's husbands look at my daughters, and then they see me. That's pretty funny, right? Anyways, thanks for joining us. We're talking about burying his daughters. Stay on topic.
Anyway, yeah. So anyway, it appears that the daughters are the ones that posted bond, and I did not get to the library today, but I will soon, so that I can go and check property records in Alamosa County and see whether any of the Morphews have purchased any properties there, because I don't know whether they will have purchased a place or whether they actually
Yes, we're gonna go see.
are
Barry.
renting.
Barry, we're gonna go look at your properties.
Yep.
Unless somebody wants to do it for us, and I know we have some guys that know how to do that on this channel. If you want to research up properties over there and let us know real quick, you could probably do it while we're talking, actually.
And
some pretty sleuthy people on this channel.
Yeah, and since we are just about to end the stream, what it is that we're very similar to a commercial for, I forget if it's for Ancestry or whatever, where the man and the woman, they're about to have their coffee together, and they've both got their DNA reports back from the Ancestry place, and then several generations back, they have a common ancestor.
Uncle Bob?
That's all.
Thanks for stopping in, everybody. We've been on here for 1 hour and 30 minutes. And anything else?
We'll be online again tomorrow. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you to all my moderators. All the moderators have been
our
doing
troll
a
hunters.
banging job, man.
Yeah, our troll hunters are awesome.
I don't know why we get
That's
so
what we-
many
that's what we
scumbag
call-
trolls on this channel.
We just do.
It's crazy. We don't hardly have any subs or anything, but we get like 10-fold trolls versus the other YouTube channels do.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is. So I've always been here. This is my wife.
Yeah, and he
And
used to be behind the scenes. He used to just do the editing and stuff. He, didn't want to be on the camera or anything. But for various reasons, I wanted him on the camera, and now, as you can see with all the trolls, that's part of the reason why I wanted him on the
I
camera.
had my own channel going for a while, but running my channel and running my wife's channel was just quite time consuming.
Yeah, so we decided on running just the one, and here we are. So, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
So many trolls are still coming in. That's funny. Yes, go ahead and just hide them from the channel. Don't even give them a second chance because, you know.
Yeah, because like I said, anything that's inappropriate, like in a...
You guys have full control if it's offensive.
Yeah, like, and like, you know, if it's in a sexual manner, you know, I can't say the whole word because I don't know if I'm going to tell
And if it's a victim blaming statement, sometimes I miss out on those and I don't see it right away. And I realize, oh, that was victim blaming. I got in trouble for that before.
Yeah,
so you guys need to really step it up on victim blaming because that might get by me. Because sometimes, well, you know, victim blaming. This happened to this people's family and you weren't sincere and you weren't compassionate enough. So definitely take care of all my victim blaming, all of our victim blaming. This is Julez's channel. I'm just a guest.
It's our channel, and you know, I even changed our little tag to be at ADITC -crew.
Yeah, that is my weak point right there.
Because we're the crew. Yeah, sometimes he doesn't notice that something leans towards victim blaming, and we definitely don't want any victim blaming here. And you know, I know that some people go about some people are way into politics and stuff too.
You can talk about politics if you like.
Yeah, but the
chat runs its own.
Yeah, because we don't. And the thing is that there was a lot of victim blaming over the whole Charlie Kirk thing, and you know, I didn't agree with a lot of what the guy had to say, but I agree that he had a right to say it, and I also agree that there was no excuse to assassinate him.
He had freedom of speech too, even though what he had to say you may or may not like. So
yeah,
there's that.
So yeah, we babbled on beyond our good night, but now we'll say good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Probably have to come back with some current events and some other classic true crime tomorrow night. We have like 500 videos on this channel, so I'm sure we can find something to talk about that we know. Good night.